Hi everyone, Karen Finch from Legally Yours. We're your legal marketplace connecting you to fixed fee, transparent, client-focused lawyers. So today I'd like to have a chat with you about 7 tips or handy hints to think about potentially when you're separating, or you may have already separated, just to get your mind thinking about these points, and it might sort of give you some benefit of things perhaps that you can do or need to follow up on. So first tip is always definitely, if you are contemplating a separation or you have separated, please access counselling services. Great if you can actually do it together as a couple, and what that can necessarily mean is that counsellor will talk you through things like who's going to reside in the matrimonial home, things like contact with the children. So just getting all those interim arrangements in place so everybody can have a smooth transition when it comes to that separation. And hopefully if there are children involved, it can be as less tumultuous as possible for those children. The second tip is definitely get all your legal and financial documents in order. And by that I mean make sure you've got a copy of your marriage certificate, access any tax returns and any documents in relation to properties that you have, so any of the settlement statements and those sorts of things. So really make sure you gather all that information and have that readily accessible. The third tip would be, if you do have a joint bank account, have a discussion around how that money is going to be split, particularly if one party has actually moved out of the matrimonial home. They'll need access to funds to help them set up, and obviously the party that's left in the matrimonial home will need funds as well to keep up the mortgage payments and those sorts of things. And we would highly recommend that those payments certainly be kept up, and that's sort of in relation to car payments and those sorts of things as well. And then I guess an on-flow from that would be is to then set up, if you don't already have your own bank account in your own name, and then you can start getting funds in those. And obviously any funds that are accessed from a joint account, there will be an adjustment in relation to that later on when you go through the property financial settlement with the separation. The next point to note is with superannuation and any life insurance, to contact those institutions and let them know that there has been a separation and you would like to nominate someone else to be the person that your superannuation will go to, and the same with the life insurance. And that's really important because that's one thing that a lot of people forget about. And if anything was to happen during that separation process before you were divorced, all your entitlements would go to your next of kin if that was who you'd listed down. So definitely have a think about that and contact those providers. Estate planning is another thing that people tend to forget, and we would highly recommend through that process updating your wills to reflect that you'll have another executor of your will if it's your spouse, and to ensure that potentially in the unfortunate event you were to pass during that process, that all your property and financial matters would go to your children. So you don't want to be caught in a situation where you haven't attended to those needs and you haven't changed your power of attorney, and your spouse ends up having to be responsible, or your ex-spouse having to be responsible for those sorts of things. So definitely get onto those. We would then sort of recommend, if you're receiving any Centrelink payments like the family payment, definitely contact them and let them know that you're going through a separation. And the child support agency as well needs to be notified, and it's the child support agency that will actually collect child support from the parent that is not the primary carer of the child during that time. So there are all those points. And then obviously we would say at the very end, go and access some legal advice. Make sure that lawyer is able to give you a free consultation, and we would highly recommend going to a lawyer that can give you a fixed fee quote for all the stages of your separation, from that period of negotiation right through to whether you can reach a financial agreement or a BFA, binding financial agreement, or consent orders, through to that whole process. So I hope that's given you a bit of food for thought. Of course, if you'd like any further information or would like to have a chat with one of our fixed fee family lawyers, please contact us at legallyyours.com.au and have a wonderful weekend. Thanks everybody. Bye-bye.